This year, I worked with 5 brands across 3 countries, which accumulated over 500,000 impressions on their digital platforms, and even got the chance to cover my first event. 2025 for me is definitely one for the books, but not necessarily in the sense of superseding my targets and having these massive achievements, but really and truly just persevering and just thanking God that He kept me every single month throughout this year. So I thought it was important to share this journey with you guys, and also for my returning subscribers, explain like some of the periods in which I basically disappeared from the channel, what was basically going on in my life. So without further ado, here is my 2025 year in review. I just realized that rhymed. I didn't intentionally make it rhyme, but I feel cool now that I made it rhyme. You know what I'm saying? So the year started off pretty rocky for me. I'm not gonna lie. I actually lost a family member at the start of this year, which caused some disgruntled relatives to really take it upon themselves to try and somewhat get rid of me. Long story short, I was staying at that particular place, and after the family member died, the remaining relatives there felt like, I was no longer welcomed. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, that created such a traumatic experience for me. And it wasn't an easy fix where I could just get up, move away, because of everything else that was involved in the process of them trying to get rid of me. And so that essentially led to me not having a stable home, to be honest. I found myself moving from place to place, staying here, sometimes coming back here, just trying to find some peace of mind in a situation where I felt like I was not safe. Those were the roughest parts of the year for me, and also for the business. As hard as it was, I don't know how. I think it was just God Himself just nudging me and telling me to persevere and keep on going. I managed to continue to send emails to a particular client who I met the year before in 2024. Yeah, 2024. And I was really trying to land this person to be a client of mine. I would be sending this person emails, trying to reach out to them via WhatsApp, really trying to nail them in. And thanks be to God, I got the confirmation in February that they were willing to work with me. And guys, in the midst of all the chaos that was going on, Content Hub landed its biggest client to date. And I'm not gonna lie, how this all happened was just crazy to think about. I mean, I met this client at a conference the year before in 2024. I went up shaking with my little business card. I was like, oh, my name is Chanel and I have a content agency and I would love to manage your social media. Honestly, I did not know that they would have taken me so seriously, but I think consistently and persistently reaching out to the person and really ended up warming up the client in the end. That led me to also deciding, we should start building out the Content Hub's branding. Like, I'm talking logo and the colors and the fonts, which is why today I can show up confidently in whatsoever presentations I need to be producing or share with anyone, because now I have a full-fledged branding deck right there ready for the Content Hub. So that was pretty cool. Moving into Q3, I was still not stable in my personal life in terms of where I was staying. You guys may recall some YouTube videos of mine where my background looks different in every single video that I was publishing, and that was literally because I was literally moving from one place to the next. I'm just trying to still show up even though things were not the way I would have wanted it to be. But moving into Q3, the event took place for the biggest client, and I did my first event coverage. So I was managing this client's social media page. They're actually called Entrepreneurial Partners, and they host an annual business and investment conference called the Realign Conference. The conference has had keynote speakers like Audrey Marks, Trisha Bailey, billionaire Michael Lee Chin, and so some really stalwarts in our business industry. So I felt like this was such an honor to be able to can not only manage your social media page leading up to the conference and creating hype about it, but also being able to cover on the day was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. We had some very impressive results, which you guys are seeing on screen here. On the day, I showed up with my Osmo Pocket 3, and we were capturing content on the ground, posting live throughout the conference. It was such an experience, and I honestly would do it again and work with them again. I really, really enjoyed doing that coverage. So that was pretty great. That was a massive highlight for me in Q3. And then we segue into the exact opposite in terms of highlights, but I found myself surviving an actual car fire, and that was crazy. I'm not gonna lie, it was crazy. I've never been in a situation like that before. As you guys can see, the car was burnt out pretty badly. I was one of the persons in the front seats, and just how everything happened, I just thank God that we were able to evacuate and grab majority of our stuff before the fire, would have damaged the vehicle when we were in it. It was pretty crazy to experience, and in the midst of everything, really kind of felt like a scary moment, but we persevered, we pushed through, and I took it upon myself to ensure that I could accumulate some stability in my life again. And so I pushed forward and made a tough decision at the time based on the context and everything to finally find a new home for myself, and I was able to move into that new home in Q3. It was pretty tough because, like I said, me deciding to do that came with repercussions, because we know there are two sides to a family, and while one side may want me to leave, the other side wanted me to stay, and I was there in the middle, not feeling safe with either options. After this happened with the car and everything, I just told myself, you know what, it's time to take back some control. And so I made that decision in Q3, and now we're here. Still in Q3, I moved, settled in, and I decided to start posting content again. You guys, if you're following me on the Content Hub JA on Instagram, you would may recall in September, I was posting for like maybe 2 to 3 weeks straight, like every single day. I'm talking Monday to Sunday, and it was literally because I was testing out a strategy, and I also knew that it's been a while since I've showed up consistently, so I really wanted to kind of say, hey, I'm back, here am I. So I started posting more consistently again, and during that period I landed my first social media client from the Cayman Islands. So in that quarter, things started to look up for me. With her coming on board, I also had another client who was primarily in the food industry that came back on board, someone I've worked with previously before, but that did not last long, primarily because I think our visions just were not aligning. Though it didn't work out, it still kind of helped me to believe that things are looking up again, and that my year didn't totally suck, to put it simply. Then we move into Q4, which is what we're in now, and I started to market my business again. So I'm starting to show up more, not only here on YouTube, but also on my Instagram, and just really trying to tie all the pieces together as I'm looking into a new year and wanting to start a new year on a much better note than I started this year. So going forward, 2026 in a nutshell for me is going to look like focusing on YouTube, focusing on LinkedIn, and focusing on Instagram as my primary platforms. YouTube preferably for my long form content, LinkedIn for forging new connections and just reinforcing my own personal brand as a professional in the space on that platform, and Instagram to continue my promotional tactics for the Content Hub and really just continue to nurture that community that I'm growing on there. These will be my 3 primary platforms, but you may see me on TikTok as well. In 2026, I'm also looking forward to launching the Content Hub's membership, and I'll create a whole new video focused on this. But in essence, I started out this journey as a freelancer working primarily with solopreneurs who were Christian based, so faith based entrepreneurs. And the thing with solopreneurs is that they have very low budgets, very limited resources, and there's a lot that they need to get done. There's a part of me that still wants to offer some value to the business owner who can't afford a full social media manager or a full content creation team. And so the Content Hub's membership is aimed at that specific entrepreneur who really wants some guided, tailored content strategy to implement on their own, so that they don't feel like they're working in silo, that they're working alone and they have no clue what they're doing when it comes on to their social media marketing. So the Hub membership is tailored for that. It will be a monthly subscription where we will have one-on-one check-ins. I will provide you with a strategy to implement, and I'll guide you on that strategy over a course of a period of time. So I'm pretty excited about that. The waitlist for it is also available for you to sign up for. It's linked in the description box below. So you guys should make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification so you can be notified as soon as it launches and it's open for you to join. Next, in 2026, I also want to explore other creative passions. If there's anything I have realized this year is how much I not only need to establish better boundaries for myself and my life, but I also need to pay attention to more of the things that helps to fulfill me. And one of those things is being a creative, not just for my business, which is what I'm doing here on this channel, but also for Chanel, the person. Next year, I'm looking to do some pretty cool things, such as starting a new YouTube channel, and I'll share more on that with you guys as time progresses, and also to do more writing, because at my core, I am a writer. I love writing fiction novels. That's a thing that has never changed for me, and I want to keep pursuing that in 2026, especially after such a hard year. There's so much things that I have learned this year, you know, from going through my therapy sessions and learning proper boundaries, learning how to say no, learning to stand up for myself, learning to give myself a chance in spaces and with people and in certain conversations in order to be able to land a client like entrepreneurial partners. Like things like that really stayed with me throughout this year. I want to keep driving that momentum and, you know, deepening that perseverance, you know, and let that be like a culture of my life. So much I have learned, so much I take away. I always tell people that I work with that if you're inconsistent with the input, the output is also going to be inconsistent. And I totally saw that where my own marketing was concerned. It was very evident to me that I had found myself in a position where if something happened to me, something happened to the business, and I realized that had to change. And that's a major lesson that I'm not afraid to admit that I had to learn in 2025. As much as it was a pretty tough year, there is so much highs that stay with me that sometimes I have to remind myself of the lows that happened. And I think that in itself is a blessing. I think that in itself is evidence of God's grace and mercy that was with me, carrying me through this entire year. And I thank every single person who has either checked on me, called me, kept subscribing to my channel, kept watching my videos even when I showed up this month and then it showed up the next month, kept reaching out to me, all my clients that decided to work with me and give me a chance. I am so grateful, so grateful, and I look forward to offering even more support and guidance and tips for you guys going into 2026. My wish for you is that you learn from my mistakes, that you excel, that you give your business a chance, that you give your vision and dreams a chance. Take a chance on yourself and see where that will bring you, because living in regret is, to me, one of the worst things you could ever find yourself doing. So there's no time like the present. Take the chance, make the plans, learn everything you need to learn, and yeah, let's get the job done. So with that being said, happy holidays to you guys, happy new year, and God's willing, I will see you in 2026.